Hey everybody, my name is Jamey with the Chef's Garden Catering and Events, and today I'm going to share with you my recipe for halibut moutarde using this beautiful Alaskan halibut. We're going to serve it with some Lemon-Dill fingerling potatoes and some braised rainbow Swiss chard. So let's get down to it, okay? First thing we're going to do is we're going to make the moutarde sauce. We're going to need a medium saucepan, and we're going to turn that on medium heat. And I already have we're going to start with shallots and garlic, which is the base for a lot of French sauces. And they're just minced. It's 1 minced shallot and about 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. And we're going to need 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. Like that. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to saute our shallots and garlic together in our medium sauce pot. Go ahead and add those two. Should heat up fairly quickly. While that's happening, I always have my mise en place out. My next step, which is white wine. Then we have chicken stock, heavy cream, Dijon mustard. And then we have some cornichons, which we're going to roughly chop and add those near the end when it's reducing down. Okay, so there's my mise en place. And then we have some fresh herbs of fresh thyme and parsley that we're going to add just near the end as well. So as you can hear, our shallots and garlic are sauteing, getting nice and fragrant. Just looking to toast those up a little bit. Once you start getting those aromas and the beautiful, magical scent of garlic and shallot sauteing, it just fills your kitchen with warmth and deliciousness. We're going to add our 4 ounces of white wine. And we're going to reduce that by half, which won't take long as well. Okay, so we've added our white wine. While that white wine's reducing, let's go ahead and chop our cornichons. Does not have to be fancy, just a uniform chop. You may ask, why am I using cornichons instead of pickles? Good question. The cornichons, the brine that the cornichons in has a little bit more of maybe some fennel and aniseed in it. So it has a very distinctive flavor to it, which I prefer than just the mustard seed brine that pickles have. So I use cornichons. It's a little more French, I would say. So our wine, like I said, we're just cooking out the alcohol, reducing it by half. So we're just sort of concentrating the sugars in that wine, which is going to balance out the acidity and the fat from the heavy cream in this sauce. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add 8 ounces of chicken stock, and preferably homemade chicken stock. This homemade chicken stock, hopefully you use whole chickens or chicken frames that has the bones. The bones is really what gives your stock its unintended, but its backbone. Really makes it a bone broth, which is sort of a hot thing these days that people call it, but really we've been making bone broths for a very long time. Our chicken stocks and our veal stocks are just that, bone broths. So we're going to reduce this chicken stock by half. While that's happening, let's talk about this halibut we have, guys. So we use halibut from Alaska, Alaskan halibut. Alaska seafood is very special because the great state of Alaska makes sure that their seafood industry is very sustainable, incredibly sustainable. So sustainable, in fact, that it's in their state constitution that these strict guidelines are in place and are followed. Their waters are very pristine, they're very cold, and they make sure that their natural resources are their top priority. So when we get our salmon or our halibut or our sablefish or black cod from Alaska, we know that that fish is from super fresh, clear waters. And everybody knows about king crab legs from Alaska, how delicious they are. But the fish is just so clean and so delicious. You can see in this picture, it is flown here off the boats. We fabricate the fish whole, and it doesn't, when you have fresh seafood, the freshest seafood, it doesn't even smell like that's, and oftentimes people don't like seafood because it smells like fish. Well, then they're probably not getting the freshest seafood. We got this in, it came into, we get it in from Orlando and from Alaska overnight to Orlando, and Orlando to us the next day. So it's probably been out of the water, I don't know, maybe just a few days. Because when they get it on the boat, they pack it with ice, comes straight to the shore, straight to us overnight. So this fish cannot be any fresher unless you were on the shores of the Pacific Ocean in Alaska in a boat catching it yourself. So let's get back to our moutarde sauce. Our chicken stock is reducing really nicely. We're going to go ahead and add our 8 ounces of heavy cream, give that a shake. Okay, give it a shake. You can use, so typically you have options of 36% heavy cream or 40% heavy cream. I like 40% heavy cream because you use less of it and it has that extra bit of fat to it that really sets it apart and really makes that sauce that much more voluptuous. So we're going to add that heavy cream, and when you do that, when it starts to boil, that heavy cream likes to bubble up and maybe bubble over. So you just want to keep your eye on that. Okay, keep your eye on that. While that's happening, guys, we're going to go ahead and season our halibut with salt and pepper. Like to keep it have the nicest ingredients you can get and keep it simple, okay? You want to really showcase that beautiful halibut. And when you season it, please season both sides because fish does not come seasoned. You have to season it yourself. We want both sides to taste equally as good. Key to cooking halibut is I like to sear it. You can poach it. You can grill it, but you got to be really careful. It's a little tough to grill, but I like to pan sear it. What that does is it really keeps the moisture in. And very important is to not overcook halibut because halibut cooks quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and switch these up a little bit. So we can really look at this. What I'm looking for, when I'm searing my fish, I put my heat on high heat, okay? When you're searing fish, you want it really high heat, especially with this kind of fish, with white, delicate, flaky fish, you want a nice high heat so you get a hard sear on it, okay? If your fish sticks to your pan, you're in big trouble. So what I like to do is get the pan dry, get the pan hot, smoking hot. And then we'll add our olive oil, hot pan, cold oil, add the fish. Your fish won't stick, okay? It's a good rule of thumb. And when you're doing this, make sure you have a nice hard bottom, thick steel pan that can really handle that heat, okay? When we add the fish, and I'll show you when we do that, you're going to lay the fish away from you. So when you look at your fish, there's a presentation side, which is actually the side that's inside the fish that you take it off the bone. Okay, this is taken off the bone. You can see where the bones were right there. This is the part of the fish that was taken off the skin. Okay, this is your presentation side. That's the side I like to sear first. So we put that side down first. Okay, so add your 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And I recommend highly that we turn our ventilation system on, because this will create a decent amount of smoke. So how can you tell when your pan's hot enough? Well, I'll tell you. You add that olive oil, it's going to sort of shimmer and dance in the pan. And then you'll see a little bit of smoke coming off your pan. That's when it's ready. You can see over here, see how that heavy cream's trying to bubble up? Just keep your eye on it. We want it to reduce by half, okay? But just keep your eye on it. Okay? We're ready to add our halibut. Remember what I said. Lay it away from you, and I mean like this. Start it and lay it away. So if the fish falls out of your hand, it's splashing the hot grease away from you and not towards you. Because hot grease on your skin does not feel good. I know firsthand that. Okay. Now we're not going to touch it. Okay, we're just going to let that halibut sear in there. We're going to let it sear. I'm just going to wash it.
So while Jamey's doing that, I'm Jen of Jen and Jamey Virtual Cooking Classes and Chef's Garden. I want to take a minute just to tell you that if you want to get this same halibut, ours comes from a company called Halbrins, which is a distributor, but they also provide the same halibut that you can get at Whole Foods. And I hear that a new Whole Foods just opened at Jack's Beach, so it's available for all of you to follow along and get this same delicious, perfectly looking piece of halibut. I'll let you go.
Thank you. Periodically, if you are familiar with Fisherman's Dock, they periodically get Alaskan seafood as well. So you may want to give them a call, see if they have it. All right, remember what I said. If you add that fish in there, we're not going to touch it, okay? We're just going to let it sear. While that's happening, we're going to add our Dijon mustard, and we're going to add our cornichon to our Moutarde sauce that's producing. So it's 2 ounces of Dijon mustard. Stir that in. Make sure you get it all in there. And then our chopped cornichon. Now we're going to continue to reduce that until it thickens slightly. We won't add our herbs till the very end. But when that sauce starts to thicken, that heavy cream reduces and starts to get thick, we'll give it a taste, see if it needs some salt and pepper. Then we'll add our fresh herbs. So with this dish, we're serving lemon-dill glazed fingerling potatoes. And what we did with that, we cut the fingerling potatoes in half. We tossed them in a little bit of olive oil, salt, and pepper, and we roasted them. So they're nice and golden brown and tender. And now we're just holding them in our warmer. So right before we serve it, we're going to toss it in this lemon and dill compound butter right here. It sort of just finishes those potatoes, give them some nice flavor that has some fresh dill and lemon juice and lemon zest. It really gives a nice accent to this halibut and the Moutarde sauce. Along with that, we've braised rainbow Swiss chard. We cut the stems, we sauteed the stems with bacon lardons, applewood smoked bacon. So the bacon cooked along with the stems, which take longer to cook than the leaves. Sauteed that, and then we added the chard leaves, and then we added some chicken stock, and we sort of braised it in the chicken stock and a little salt and pepper and some herbs, and then we finished it with just a tiny bit. And we're holding that down here as well. So let's check out, I'm checking out my halibut. So if you are checking fish, okay, and you're having a problem, I'm going to turn my sauce down just a little bit. It's starting to thicken a little bit. If you're like trying to flip your fish and then you're having a little issue with it, it's not ready to flip, so go ahead and leave it alone and let it sear. So we're going to give that just another minute, and then we'll flip it. Okay. Meanwhile, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Jen and Jamey's virtual cooking classes. We have been doing these classes since probably the second week in March, when COVID-19 decided to rear its ugly head, and we decided to roll out these virtual cooking classes. When we're like, you know, what are we going to do? How are we going to connect with the community when nobody's having any events and nobody's gathering? There are no social gatherings. That our business went to literally nothing overnight. So we brainstormed and we came up with these virtual cooking classes. And we started locally, where we would market them locally to our faithful clients, and we would get our mise en place together for these classes, and we would deliver them to everybody's doorstep. And then we get on Zoom that night and we cook it all together. And that really was a very popular idea. So we continue to do that and continue to grow and grow. And now we're in October, and now we ship nationally. I think we ship to almost all 50 states at this point, including Canada and Hawaii, Alaska. And we are now doing large virtual cooking classes for 100 people and more, which is pretty fantastic. And it's amazing to us how people really enjoy cooking in their own kitchen, and sort of gets lost sometimes in life. Life becomes so busy, and we're going to taking our kids at school and work and everything. We don't cook in our kitchens as much as we used to. So this has really gotten us reconnected with that. So see that? Remember earlier when I said if it's difficult, that it's not ready? Well, now it's coming right up, okay? And look at that nice sear right there. It comes right off the bottom. See that beautiful golden brown sear? It creates a nice crust on this halibut, so it almost gives it a little crunch with the super soft, succulent center. Super soft, succulent center. Nice, like that. I'm going to use that. So we're going to sear the other side. We're going to give it about 2 minutes to sear on the other side, and then we're going to put it in the oven just to finish it through, okay? Our sauce is real close. I'm going to grab a tasting spoon and see what we, oh yeah, see what we got here. Always taste your food and season moderately. You can always add more seasoning at the end. If you add a little more salt at the beginning, well, it's really difficult to extract that salt, right? Especially when you're making a sauce that's reducing. You really want to wait until closer to the end to season it, because if you season it at the beginning and it reduces, that sodium becomes concentrated. So you really got to be careful when you're doing that. So these pieces of halibut are actually a bit thinner there. I cut them more towards the tail end. The more to the front of the fish, they're thicker. If you can imagine a humongous flounder, basically what a halibut is. It's a giant. It's probably as big as this island right here. They get very large. And more towards the front of the fish, the meat is much thicker, like most fish. Towards the head, the meat is thicker. The closer you go to the tail, the thinner it gets. So these two pieces are a little bit closer to the tail. So I think we could probably just pop them in the oven for like a minute and they'll be done. I always like to, my saute pans, I like the entire pan to be oven safe so I can just throw it in the oven just like I did there. As opposed to having a plastic handle or a rubber handle or something like that. It's always great. So if you have to transfer your fish to a sizzle platter or something, it loses temperature and you lose that sear that we have. We lose that temperature and that sear but that's what we want to keep. That's why we use this kind of saute pan. Our sauce is looking almost done. We're super close to plating up, guys. I'm gonna grab my plate. I think we're really close to doing it. So my sauce, we have like a minute left on our sauce. This is what I'm gonna add those fresh herbs in. So boom, there goes the herbs. Okay, sauce is looking real nice. And I tasted it. Doesn't need any salt. Does not need any salt. All right, here we go. Let me grab a rag so I don't sear my hand along with the halibut. We're going in, guys. That's all it needed. Just that one little minute in the oven to finish. All right. Sauce is off. These are those beautiful golden brown fingerling potatoes I was just talking about. We're going to take our compound butter. We're going to toss it right in there. I'm going to tip it over so you can see. Compound butters are great. They're really good to finish steaks. They're great to add to finish your veggies. Really nice to finish your potatoes. Like if you're making some nice fancy baked potatoes, you could make like a bacon and chive compound butter, and melt that on your spud right at the end. See how we're just glazing them like that? There you go. And if y'all decide to join one of our cooking classes, we send you all the ingredients, all the way down to the olive oil and salt and pepper. And they're meased out for you. Everything's measured out for you. So really, it's designed to teach you how to cook something that you haven't cooked before and have fun at the same time, because that's what it's really all about, is having fun and connecting with your friends and family and enjoying yourself. Because let's be honest, cooking is necessary and it can also be fun. Here we go. And then we're gonna, our beautiful rainbow Swiss chard. Woo! We're just gonna put a little pillow right there. Now we're gonna get one of these. Little pieces of halibut, and then we're going to drizzle Moutarde sauce. Does this look like something y'all would like to try? Yes? That's right. If y'all can check us out on our website, www.cateringjacksonville.com. You can check out our meal delivery. You can check out our virtual cooking classes. We have partinis, which are small micro parties that you can have with your friends for 10 to 15 people. Because let's be honest, we're all starting slowly to get back to what we all knew what was normal. And I know we all miss socializing with our friends because, that's what we do. It's our thing. So check us out. And that is our halibut moutarde with lemon-dill, fingerling potatoes, and braised with chard. And y'all have a great night. Thank you very much for joining us.